Welcome to our family harvest service. We hope you're going to enjoy it. Millie is going to start off today with our call to worship, and please join in with the writing in bold.
Let everyone be happy, let everyone be glad, let everyone be full of joy, and sing to the Lord our God.
We thank you, Lord. We praise you, Lord, for you are good and loving.
We know Lord is God. He gives us life and breath, for we are his own family and we belong to him.
We thank you, Lord. We praise you, Lord, for you are good and loving. Thank you, Millie. And if you'd like to join the other Sunday school children, and we'll sing our first song, which is This Is the Day. And while we're doing that, the Jigsaw children will bring down their harvest gifts. Thank you, Audrey. Just go in behind. This is the day that we normally celebrate our Harvest Thanksgiving. And on our Harvest Thanksgiving, we thank God for our food. And we bring food to the church, and it goes to needy folk. This year, as in previous years, it's going to the Salvation Army for the homeless and for their food bank. But also this year, we are celebrating talents, the harvest of our talents. Talents that God has given to us. But we're going to start our next song with a normal harvest song, which is We Plough the Fields and Scatter. And while that's going on, the children are going to go to the back of the church and make Empire biscuits. So children, if you would like to make your way up there, okay? And could I just say that if the noise gets too much, will you just sing louder? Whenever you're ready. Thank you, Audrey. too fast there. Either that or they're too slow. So children, wherever you are, if you bring them down, and we will finish them later. You must have some too quickly. That's what it is. Well done, Mr. Potter. Everybody's name on them, so you can take them home with you. That's just great. Right, you come over to this side. Ewan, if you can start some there. Well done. Right there. And did you manage that too, Jude? Yes. Oh, well done. Well done. How come you made 4? Listen, you haven't actually banked on that. There we go. There we go. That's us. Thank you. So, can you tell everyone, how did you make those Empire biscuits? How did you make them?
I put jam in a biscuit, then a biscuit on, then one day.
Right, out you come. Is this working okay? Because I think what you had was out you come, one of these biscuits.
Yeah.
So what kind of biscuit is that?
Empire?
Well, is that no, it's not an Empire. No. It's just a plain biscuit. And what other kind of biscuit did you have? Millie?
An Empire biscuit?
No, you didn't.
Is it shortbread?
A shortbread biscuit. What was this one like? What's it got on it? Icing. Out you come. And then we'll have you next, Millie. Because you had a plain biscuit and an iced biscuit. But is that an Empire biscuit? What's the thing you've got to add to make it an Empire biscuit?
A
A
gummy.
gummy or what?
A jelly.
Oh, that's right. That's because I have not got a jelly baby on top of that one because I ran out. What do you put in the middle that makes it an Empire biscuit? Jam. You can have a biscuit, you can have an iced biscuit, but you cannot have an Empire biscuit without jam. Now, I must admit, I bought the jam out of a shop. The last jam I made was so thick you could cut it in slices. I bought it out of the shop. Does anybody here have a mummy or a granny that makes jam? Right, how does she make the jam?
I don't know, but she has a huge pot. She puts it on
Now you've got the first bit straight away because you said she needed a big. Out you come. Here we are. I may not be able to do it, but I've got all the equipment. Do you know what this is called? This is called a jelly pan. Can you hold it? It's very, very big, and it's called a jelly pan. Okay, so what are you going to put into the jelly pan to make jam?
jelly.
No, quite jelly.
Sugar.
That's exactly right. Go and see if there's sugar over there. Because jam is very sweet. You see it there see it on the table, on the chair. So that's right. So we need sugar. What else do we need to make jam? Pardon? You need to, well, I want you to stand there, because you're a wee bit ahead of me. But yes, you need to boil. But there's something else we need to put in to the pot for by sugar to make it into jam. Do we see? What would you need? Strawberries. I think there's strawberries at the back there. We need strawberries. Okay? That's correct. It doesn't need to be strawberry. What other kind of jam can you make? You can make rasp. You can make blackberries, a black currant. You can make marmalade, that's with oranges. You can make rhubarb, gooseberry, apple, red currant, black currant, all these kinds. And then, when you've got them in the pot, what do we do with it? We boil it and we boil it. And that's where the difficult bit comes. Because you've got to boil it to just the right amount. If you don't boil it enough, then it'll just run too much. If, like me, you boil it too much, then it's too hard. It's a great talent to make jam. You've got to be very, very talented to make jam. Once you've got it in the pot, how then do you get it onto your Empire biscuits? But how do you get it from that pot? What do we do? That's right, in a jar. You go and see if I've got a jar behind here. We've got to put it into a jar. Now, because we've boiled it, it's very, very hot. So how do you think we get the jam from that pan into that jar? How would we do that? That's right. You'd never use a ladle, or my mother used to use a jug. So bring them over, Jan. And there we've got our jam. So you've got to get the sugar. You've got to get the fruit. You've got to boil it. You've got to get the jam jars all nice and clean with a lid on top. And then you've got to have something to spoon the jam. Just pretend you're doing that. Spoon the jam out and into the jar. And it takes, is that too runny? It takes talent. And there are people in our church who are very, very talented at making jam. And they don't just keep the jam to themselves. They actually bring the jam to the church shop, and they bring the jam to the fair, and they allow us to buy their jam. And therefore they're sharing their talents with us, and we can buy the jam, and that money goes to the church. So now we've got a really difficult bit to do. You need to put all that stuff back where it came from. You need to go in your groups, because we discovered 2 weeks ago that we had very, very talented children in the Sunday school. And some of them can sing, and some can dance, and some can draw, and some, like I, can even act on stage. But we also discovered that all of the children had a great talent, just leave it there, talent, for ball games. So we are going to show you what we can do with footballs. All I would say is, if a football comes your way, please hand it back. So, if the children get into their groups, okay? So this side, they're going to show you how well they can bounce the balls. And this side, just wait a minute as they go. And this side, they're going to show us how well they can pass the ball to each other. And the front people are going to show how well they can pass the ball to each other. So are we ready? Go! Okay, and change over. We balls to the down and change over. Go that way. Right, we're going to bounce balls. Okay, everybody got a ball? Here we are. Okay, let's go. Wasn't quite what you practiced. much better than the last time. So well done, children. When we have a talent for playing with balls, we can share it. We can join with other children and be friends with them and help them. And now, Ewan and Ewan are going to come and lead us in prayer and the Lord's Prayer. I've got it here. Just wait. Right here.
Dear God, help us to remember that it is no good saying prayers to you. If we go on hurting each other, keep on arguing and fighting and punching each other, help us to remember to share our things and to feed the hungry, give clothes and a place to live to the poor. Help us to remember that if we do this, we will make the whole world bright. We will be like the sun and lit up in the whole sky.
Let us say together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and glory forever. Amen.
We are so lucky with the bodies that God has given us and the talents he's given us. And our next song is I Have Hands That Can Clap, Clap, Clap. And can we ask everyone to join in with the actions, especially with the whistling bit?
A rich man going on a journey divided his money between his servants according to their abilities. To one he gave 5 measures of gold or talents. To another he gave 2, and to a third 1. The first 2 servants traded with their gold and were able to double what they had been given. But the third buried his talents safely in the ground. Their master returned and sent for them. Sir, said the first, I have made 5 more gold coins for you. And I have made 2 more, said the second. Well done, said the rich man. You have both been faithful in small things, so I shall put you in charge of greater things. I am very pleased.
But the third servant said, I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the ground. The master was furious.
If you were worried about losing my money, you should have put it in the bank to earn interest for me." And he ordered the servant to be thrown out of the house. God gives each of us different gifts or talents, and he wants us to use them well if we are to serve him and his kingdom.
Thank you, boys. That's a parable that Jesus told. Now, a parable is a story with a meaning. And that's not a parable that we do very often because it's quite awkward. But what that parable is saying is that God gives us talents, but he wants us to use them for his church, for his glory. And I want you to come up here and look at this stained glass window up here that's dedicated to the life of Robert Crothers. Up you come. Up the aisle. Right. If you make the big ones go to the back and the ones to the front, so we all can see it. And I think there's a picture on the... Right, up you come, girls. Lift it up so we all can see it. Okay? Now, Robert Crothers lived in this area and came to this church. And this window is all about his life. Can anyone see anything there that could tell us something about Robert? Right, Mel. That's right. Could you point? Be careful, we don't break it. Oh, you go right in. There's a spade there. So, what do you think you would use a spade for? For digging what? For digging the garden. He liked his garden. What can you tell me about Robert's life? That's right. What vegetables can you see there that he grew? Tomatoes. And you see anything else? Grapes. We'll come back to that one. Did you see? You didn't know? Peas. He grew all these things. Now, somebody said grapes. Do you think grapes are an easy thing to grow in this country? No. Why not? It's not always sunny. So he grew a lot of things. Can you get a clue where he lived? Where do you think he lived? Next to a river, a wee burn. Do you know what that burn is? Exactly right. Say it louder. It's the Miller's Burn. And there's the bridge. You see the bridge? It was over the Miller's Burn. Because Robert lived just beyond the Miller's Burn at Strawwood. And he grew all these things. He grew grapes, he grew flowers, he grew vegetables, tomatoes. He grew lots of tomatoes. He had what we call green fingers. What does it mean if you say somebody's got green fingers? Yes, they're very, very talented at gardening. But Robert didn't keep those talents to himself. When it was Harvest Thanksgiving, Robert brought a lot of his produce to the church, and he also shared his talents. People would say to him, "How do you grow your tomatoes like that? Or how do you get your flowers to bloom like that?" And Robert would tell them. He had great talents that God had given him, but he shared them. Let's go back and sit down for a minute. The stained glass windows, yes, that tells us all about his life. You sitting there? Now, Robert lived with his sister Mary, and with her sister as well, Agnes, and with Jean there, who's Robert's niece. They were all talented gardeners. But his sister Mary also had a great talent for baking. And she would bake pancakes, and do you all remember the soda scones? She would bake and she would sell them, and that money would go to our church to make it stronger. We're really lucky we've got so many talented people. We have Audrey, who's got a talent for playing the organ. We've got a wonderful group who are talented at putting out and displaying all our fruit, and every week we display flowers. We've got other people who are very talented in the sound desk, and people who are very talented at organising the services. People who are talented at doing the Rainforest Cafe and making our meals. People who are talented at cleaning the church and obtaining the buildings. And we've also got people who have a great talent for faithfulness, and they come every week. They use their talent of faithfulness to come every week and worship with us. And when all these talents of all these people work together, then we are glorifying God and making his church here stronger. So let's sing Build Your Church, Lord, and we'll sing it through twice. For his garden, he still had to work at it. He had to know different kinds of flowers. Some flowers need a lot of sun. Some flowers need a lot of shade. Some flowers need a lot of water. He had to know about his plants. And he had to arrange them, because some were very brightly coloured and others had a nice smell. And he had a beautiful garden with tasty vegetables. What do you think God's garden is going to look like? What kind of flowers do you think he's going to have? Roses. Roses? You think God will have roses because they smell nice? What else? What other kind of flowers do you think is going to be in God's garden? Sunflowers, because they're nice and big and bright. Any other kind of flowers you think? You think daisies? Well, I agree with you, because I think daisies are beautiful. Any other kind of flowers? Do you think God's garden is going to look beautiful and like the ones you see in Chelsea? Not a thing out of place? Or do you think it's going to look like a wild garden? What do you think? Hands up those who think it's going to look just perfect. Nobody? Hands up those who think it's going to look wild. Well, I don't know, but I think God's garden is going to look like this. Because I think that we are God's harvest. And I think God's harvest is going to look like that. And just as Robert knew his plants, so God knows us. He knows we're different. He knows we've got different talents. And just as Robert made sure that the plants were put in the right place, God has given us this wonderful world with everything that we need. And just as Robert gave his plant fertilizer to help them to grow, so God has given us Jesus and the Bible to sustain us and help us to grow. So I think that's what God's garden is going to be like, because we are God's harvest. And with any luck, He won't eat us. Okay. So we'll now have our next song, which is Give Me Oil in My Lamp. like to come and lead us in our last prayer.
Dear God, we thank you for the talents you have given us, some big and some small. Help us to share our talents and not to keep them for ourselves. Help us to use those talents to glory you by making your world a good place for everyone we meet.
Now, we said there that there are some people with really big talents. I can't play the organ, no matter how long you would sit me there. And I couldn't go on the stage the way you did yesterday, and no matter how much you pay me. But we all have other talents in equal portion. And we need to thank Aileen for this lovely aid that she's given us. We all have the talent to give joy. We all have the talent to give love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And these talents are given to all of us in equal measures. And when we show especially the talent of kindness by sharing our toys, sharing our books, giving someone who's sad a hug, making friends with everyone, listening to people, helping them, then we are using God's talents and we're glorifying God and making his world a better place. So when we leave today, let's hope that we go out with joy and kindness in our hearts. And just to show that, we've got Empire biscuits for everyone. I don't want to eat them, I know. But the Sunday school children, if you remain at the end after the Bible's taken out, the Sunday school children do have an Empire biscuit for everyone. So our last hymn is You Shall Go Out With Joy. And if you remember, it's with the clap of hands when it goes to, and the trees of the field shall clap their hands, and the trees of the field shall, and the trees of the field shall, and you go out with joy. And Audrey's going to play it 3 times, and it's going to get a little faster each time. But we need to listen to Audrey and do it at the same time as Audrey. And after that, Grace will do the blessing. Okay? Thank you, Audrey.
As we leave today, may we use all the talents God has given us to glorify his name. Amen.
Give out these biscuits.